One of my old hobbies that I used to love and still kind of love is collecting old video games. Usually anything from Nintendo and up. Never really got into the Atari stuff, but I still have some of my old childhood stuff. This Killer Instinct one I've had since I was a kid. I no longer have the Killer Cut CD. I don't know where it went, but this thing is pretty smashed. And back when I tried being a video game collectible channel, I went out there and collected a lot of stuff. I've been to a lot of conventions, I've been to a lot of stores, I've traveled across the states solely for visiting specific stores, but let me tell you, these games all look amazing. I love the feeling of finding a game that I've never even heard of, especially one that was like developed in the 80s or 90s. You think there would be plenty of information about this kind of stuff, but sometimes info falls through the cracks and then I find a glorious gem in the rough. Kind of like Contra Legacy of War. Does anybody remember that gem? Oh my god, that was a rough one. That was a rough play even as a child. I love Contra, but the PS1 games are rough. No 3D glasses here, unfortunately. Also, I have a few DS games that I really enjoy. I have the Mega Man ZX ones, ZX Advent as well. I also have the Mega Man Zero collection, which me being the Mega Man fan that I am, I gotta have it. I mean, come on, why would I even be called a Mega Man fan if I didn't have that? Of course, I also have the Mega Man Zero collection as well on PS4, so I guess that's a form of double dipping. Here I have Pokemon Heart Gold. Found this at a flea market for $8. What a steal. The price that this thing fetches now is outstanding. I would not want to put money on this game. I also have Black 2. I don't know why I didn't show that off, but Black 2 is hella cool as well. But one console that I started collecting for that I utterly hated as a child for no reason, because I was a Nintendo fanboy, was the Sega Genesis, which I like to call the Smegma Genesis. Now the Sega Genesis has some great boxes. These clamshells, beautiful, thick, robust, very appealing to the eye with that weird 90s grid look. Very indicative of a Sega game. The Sega Genesis has a lot of stuff that I've learned to love over the years. And I'm not talking about stuff like Sonic and Phantasy Star. Not really my kind of stuff. Streets of Rage. Who doesn't love Streets of Rage? It's a great game. American Gladiators? Come on, dude. I mean, look at this. This is peak 90s, baby. You can't say no to some American Gladiator. It's also got my favorite installment of the G&G series. A lot of people consider this the easiest one. I would mostly agree with that. Yeah, it is pretty easy compared to the other ones. The NES port is absolutely atrocious. I hate that one. The Super Nintendo one is pretty hot, although I love the Genesis version better at this point. But there's so much great stuff on the Sega Genesis that I've learned to love. And I don't know why I just didn't like... Well, I do know. I was a Nintendo fanboy, like I said earlier. But I really should have given it a chance. And it wasn't until a good friend of mine opened up my eyes and showed me the beautiful treasures that are on this thing. And I love that the indie scene is still making stuff for the Sega Genesis. Creating new games for old systems is something that amazes me. The fact that people love a old console so much that they want to keep it alive by making their own games, that's the kind of love that should be spread around the world. And these people go out to make actual physical editions of whatever game that they're making. We've been blessed with that today. We've truly been blessed by Strictly Limited and PR Hound. They were super kind to give me a physical copy of Farming Simulator for the Sega Genesis. Now, I don't know what the hell happened here in the camera because I didn't fuck around with it, but it went tall boy mode. So I'm going to stick with that if I can. So bear with me here. It blends in pretty well, mostly with the other Genesis box games. The text goes in the opposite direction though, so that might put some people off. I don't mind it. I'm not that anal about my Sega Genesis collection. I don't have a lot of clamshells to begin with, so I'm always happy just to add another one. The instruction manual, yeah, remember those things, is pretty legit. It does what an instruction manual does. It tells you the control button layout, the objective of the games, your options, but this one has no notes in the back to put cheat codes in. And I'm putting the Farming Simulator next to a old Genesis box so you guys can make a comparison. The carts are pretty similar. There's a weird notch in the Farming Simulator carts. I don't know if that's something that they do on newer carts for the Sega Genesis. This thing just isn't for show though. you can pop it into your Sega Genesis and voila, you have it running on your favorite CRT. Or in my case, I had to go through some weird connector so I can play it on my monitor. But you know, same thing. And yeah, it's farming simulator. You plow your fields, you lay your seed. It sounds so weird. And then you reap what you sow. It's really cool. Music's banging. Sounds very chunky. You got 3 areas to pick from. You work your way up as a lowly farmer and you can upgrade your equipment and machinery to be more effective and get more of that moolah in your pocket. My Sega Genesis is a little crusty. I had to wipe some things off for this. That thing's been in hiding for who knows how long. But you know, I shouldn't be the only person that has Farming Simulator for the Sega Genesis. I left a link in the description below that'll take you to the Farming Simulator 16-bit edition page, which is being hosted at Strictly Limited. Now, if I remember, I believe only 500 of these are being made. So if you want to grab yourself a rare piece of equipment for your Sega Genesis, or are just really a huge Farming Simulator fan and you want to add to your collection, now is the time. Now I just want to be transparent with you homies. All I received was the Farming Simulator 16-bit cartridge. I get no kickback if you guys make a purchase through that link. This thing is a lot of fun to play, and I loved sharing it in the Discord with my friends. Especially my one friend who is a huge Sega Genesis fan. This was quite the treat for them. So make sure to grab your copy before you see it at some weird retro gaming convention, and it's going for way too much above the asking price. Thanks again to Strictly Limited and PR Hound for providing Farming Simulator on the Sega Genesis. It's definitely an unboxing I won't forget. Anyways homies, hope you're having a great day. Make sure to click on the link, check out the page, and I'll see you on the next videos. Bye bye.